Thank you so much for coming back to the table. We are putting the focus today on the other side of adversity, right? We all go through it, but we want to get to the other side of it. And author Diana Patterson has shared how she managed to get to the other side of adversity by, among other things, leaning into her faith. And joining us is Candyce C. Anderson. She is an author and psychotherapist who unfortunately knows the trauma associated with sexual assault and domestic violence. But what I love about you is that you have taken the trauma and turned it into a testimony for others.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Let's talk about how you ended up here.
Okay. So my mantra is just that my pain and my experiences are not just for me. And so initially I wanted to be an orthodontist. But God had other plans. And so in my work as a therapist, not only am I providing healing on a larger scale, but every time I allow myself to be present in the process of somebody else's journey, I heal a little bit more.
Interesting. So every opportunity that you are hearing other people's story becomes a healing experience for you.
Absolutely.
So let's hear more about your backstory.
So I was raised in Washington, D.C., born and raised uptown girl. And raised by a single mother, 3 children, height of the crack epidemic in Washington, D.C.
In Washington, D.C., right.
And so, just like Diana said, she did the best that she could too.
Yeah.
But that didn't mean that I still needed something else. That her doing the best didn't negate the internal needs, the things that really would have put me in a position to not be harmed, to be protected, to be aware of my own identity and who I was.
Ended up being exposed to some things.
Yes.
And you were the victim of some things. So
I
the
was
survivor of some things.
Correct. So I am a survivor of what's called child sexual abuse, CSA, and then teen dating violence. The person that I dated in my teenage years into high school was abusive. And the caveat to that is my mother was supportive and very kind and very welcoming to him. And so unlike a lot of people who go through sexual assault or molestation or abuse, my support system was not at home.
So did you tell your mother what was happening, or was she being kind because she did not know what was happening?
So here's the thing. Sometimes when we come into contact with situations that look like what we've been through and we are not ready to heal, denial is our only refuge.
And that goes back to people in our families are always doing the best.
Correct.
But sometimes there's a gap as
and two things can be true. She did her best, but there was still harm done.
Right.
Yes.
I want to bring you into this conversation because it's getting to this point of recognizing there's some really difficult things to happen to all of us.
Yes.
But at some point, making a decision for both of you to move, to heal and then move. Let's talk about how you get to an intentional decision to heal.
So for me, and we always hear the words generational curses. When we label behavior that has been transmitted generationally as a curse, sometimes that puts our ability to attack it, to change it outside of us. But when we can say, oh, that's an intergenerational transmission, then
Explain.
So intergenerational transmissions are behaviors, culture in our family system that our great-great-grandmother passed down.
Mommy had me young. I had my baby young because this is what we saw, whether you thought it was something you wanted to repeat or not.
Absolutely. So when we are seeing these things, despite in our conscious mind saying, oh, that will never be me, our programs of operating are in our subconscious mind. So despite you wanting to do something different, it doesn't always work that way.
So from your professional standpoint and from your personal standpoint for our viewers, how did you change the programming in your own minds? Diana, you first.
Well, for me, there was a moment, an awakening for me. and that I knew that I was not my circumstances. They didn't define me. Those things were things that were happening to me, but they were not who I was. And when I was able to embrace that and then say, I will not be a casualty of someone else's brokenness. I'm taking ownership of my life today, and through my faith of knowing that whatever God allowed me to go transition through in life was a part of my story, and it was evolving and ascending who He originally ordained me to be. So it was really taking ownership and embracing those valley experiences and saying, this is beautiful because this is still a part of my story and I own it.
May I ask just quickly, if you feel comfortable, tell me, how old were you when you got to that shift moment where you recognized I can move differently now?
I'll be honest, I was well in my 40s. I was well in my 40s.
Wow.
Yes.
And how about you, C?
For me, it happened really young. I was very imaginative. That was my escape.
Okay.
And so when I saw families or women or these images of other Black people on television, like the Cosby Show, for example, right? That gave me the idea that, oh, this environment is not the last stop. So for me, it was digging deep into school and my academics because that was my escape plan.
Finding what your next step was going to be, where you wanted to be and how you were going to get there, right? It is a journey in the valley,
It's a journey,
right?
absolutely.
Ladies, don't go anywhere. This is really, really good conversation, and this conversation will continue when we return. Hey there, Portia here. Listen, that was a good conversation, wasn't it? Want to see the rest of it? Just go to portiashow.com, scroll down until you see that particular episode. But listen, before you scroll on out of here, I need you to do me a favor, please. Like, comment, let us know what you thought of that episode, and subscribe. And if you already are a subscriber, we sure appreciate you. In the meantime, we'll be sure to see you on the next episode of Portia, and you can catch us weeknights on Fox Soul as well. Tell your friends. Tell them to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.